How you doing? Justin back with you today for some more chord exploration. Today we are checking out the E shape. If you haven't seen them already, remember there are 4 other shapes to explore, and exploring all of them is really the big goal here. So every time you play on any of the chords, you've got some cool funky tools that you can draw out to make your chord progressions and rhythm playing a little bit more interesting. Let's get to a close-up and check out variations on an E chord. So here we are as a regular E major chord. Hoping most of you are familiar with that one. As usual, we're going to start with lifting the fingers off. Now, the first problem that we get here, if we lift off our first finger, we have an E minor. Now, generally speaking, you can't substitute an E major for an E minor. It sounds a little bit weird. But what you can do is hammer on that first finger. That can sound real bluesy. So have that kind of thing, or where I'm just playing like an E sus4, we'll talk about that in a minute with the little finger, and then hammering on the first finger. So in that instance we can do the hammer on with the first finger, but you can't substitute E major for E minor and just leave the finger off. That's changing the kind of harmony that's going on. So that wouldn't be considered a variation. That would be changing the chords, which is probably not what you want to be doing. So that's the first one. Second one, we can lift off the third finger and we get an E7 chord. But like the A7 chord that's similar, there's A, there's A7, E to E7. You can hear a bit of a difference, but it's not huge. All of those low notes tend to get a little bit muddy together. So actually, if you're going to play an E7, I'd probably more likely to recommend you use your little finger on the 3rd fret of the 2nd string. That's an E7 chord. Much more practically useful version than that E7, in my humble opinion. It's obviously a little harder, so sometimes I teach this E7 for complete beginners if they're struggling to use this one, but I think the variation using the little finger down, which we'll talk a bit more about in a second, is generally a better one than this E7. The other lifting finger off obviously is 2nd finger. Just having the little pick. You're picking out that 5th string with the finger off and hammering it down. It's a really nice variation. We've had a very similar thing with all of the different chords so far, hammering on one of those notes. Definitely something I think is worth practicing. It is useful. It does tend to have a kind of slightly country kind of vibe going on, but that is still useful in many other styles that have been influenced by country. So getting back to it, if we've lifted all the fingers off, we have only got one finger free, which is our little finger. For most people, little finger is the weakest finger, so some of this manipulation might be a little bit tricky, but again, a little bit of practice probably sort that out. Little finger down first of all on the thinner string. Now it's actually a real clash with this note, because this is a G sharp and that's a G. It shouldn't work, but actually it sounds pretty cool. Like, it would only really work in a kind of a bluesy context. So give it a try. When you know, the whole point of this Chord Explorer is to break out of set rules about chords. So do have a go. Just try it out. If you're playing the song, have a listen. Does it sound cool? If it does, keep using it. If it doesn't, then don't do that variation anymore. There's luckily a very nice, easy one that works nearly all the time, which is putting little finger down here in the 2nd fret of the thinner string. Actually, it works just as well 2nd fret on the 2nd string. If you add it on the thinner string, it's an E add 9. And if you add it down on the 2nd string, it's an E6, and both of those are really lovely variations. Okay, and there we've added then little finger down on the 2nd fret of the 3rd string. Again, now this one, E sus4, very, very common, very useful chord grip to have on an E chord, to have that. +4. If you want to get into that bluesy thing. Now I quite, rather than doing a sus like that, I sometimes just lay my second and third fingers down before the little, and that's okay too. It's a little bit kind of lazier, but sometimes lazy is good, because guitar should feel relaxed and comfortable, and sometimes being lazy about stuff is a good way to make it feel comfortable rather than feeling technical. So little finger works great on the 2nd fret on the thinner string, the 2nd string, and on the 3rd string. On the 3rd fret, it works interestingly in a bluesy kind of a way on the thinner string. Here on the 2nd string, 3rd fret 2nd string, sounds great because it's an E7. So here, adding the little finger down 3rd fret on the 3rd string, this is the sharp 11, E sus sharp 11. It's the Lydian tonality. If you want to get all technical, I don't think it's really worth, again, like getting all technical. It's just a sound. It's probably not going to work in your regular pop and folk tunes, but if you're playing a bit of metal or something, you know, things that are a bit alternative, it could sound really hip. It's definitely got its own kind of a vibe going on there. But yeah, just be aware of it. Little finger down on the 4th string just sounds horrible. And on the 5th string it's not working either. On the thicker string, it can be nice as a little walk down to have. And you see I'm doing a little, I'm just doing a little, it's called a curl. So the E chord maybe has somewhat less variations than some of the other ones, but they're super useful. And again, because there are less, it's more important to get familiar with them by putting them into practical examples. I'm saying it again. Make sure when you practice that you spend some time just focused on the E chord on its own, just trying out the different things, building up the relationship between your musical imagination, your hand, trying to get used to where those sounds live and ideas that you want to try putting into practice. And then when you're practicing songs, find some songs. You know, there's plenty of blues songs which are kind of a vamp, where they're mostly on the one chord, or a 12-bar blues in the key of E, which has a lot of time on that E chord. So just experimenting with where you put your fingers, the kind of variations, trying to find little melodies. There's loads of things that you can try out there to explore on the E shape. It really, really is a valuable thing. It is all about putting stuff into practice. I've said it about a gazillion times to you now. Hopefully it's sunk in. Do remember, if you've got any questions about this or suggestions, things that you've discovered that you think other students might like to check out, do go and leave a comment over on the website. You might find as well in the text that I've got some additional Q&A kind of things, or new ideas as I've had them. It's a lot easier to add a bit of text on a lesson than it is to reshoot a video, so you'll often find there's new exciting bits in the content in the text part of the lessons over on the website as well. I really hope you're enjoying this and the rest of the series and all of grade 3, and I hope you're having a fantastic day. I'll see you for plenty more very soon. You'll take care of yourselves and each other. Bye-bye.